Anytime I do something, I go like all in. Like I get obsessive over it. I'd have to. Locking myself in a room and getting stuff done.
As a child at age 10, Graham was so obsessed about fish that he got banned from an aquarium forum for posting too much.
I had a separate account that I would talk to myself on. So I'd log in the separate account just to get more responses.
So you were sock puppeting. You were sock puppeting yourself on the aquarium forums.
Yeah, but the reason I got banned was
At age 18, Graham was ready to conquer real estate through his knowledge of how Craigslist listings work, where he booked over $100 million in sales, and at age 26 became a millionaire. Finally, in 2020, at age 29, Graham decided to become a full-time YouTuber, shifting away from real estate during the pandemic.
as YouTube began doing better and better and better, I slowly started to scale back on the real estate, and I just became very selective with the clients that I'd work with.
I'm Eric, co-founder of Karat. We help creators like Graham with their finances. And join us today for 36 questions to fall in love with Graham Stephan. I'm here today with Graham Stephan.
Stephan. I'm kidding.
Stephan.
Stephan.
Stephen Graham?
Yeah, Stephen Graham.
Stephen Graham. I'm here today with Stephen Graham, the #1 personal finance channel on YouTube,
Cool.
but also with a particular set of skills across, let's see, real estate, boxing, coffee, aquariums, and as I learned last night, relationship advice.
Oh, gosh. I would not take that seriously, but
I'm looking forward to the continuing Graham Stephan YouTube channel. So
Cool.
many potential spinoffs.
I think it's pretty much just like, whatever's going on in the market, news-related stuff. But, hey, maybe there's a pivot at some point. I can't
didn't
imagine
know. I
changing it
remember
up.
when I visited your place in Vegas for the first time, an aquarium aficionado.
Yeah.
How long have you been interested and been good and knowledgeable around fish and aquariums?
Since I was like 10 years old, 10 or 11. Just always was obsessed with saltwater fish. I had like goldfish and stuff like that as a kid, like, a little bowl with, at first it started off as the bowl with, on the table. And I remember this, every fish would only last for like 2 days and die. There was goldfish. There was like no filter, no nothing. It was like you fill it up with water, put gravel on the bottom, one little fake plant in there, and put a goldfish in there, and you feed them on the top. Kept dying, and so we were like, my parents were like, I guess now we got to get like a 5-gallon tank with a hang-on back filter, and then the fish would live. And I would walk in there at the aquarium store and see saltwater fish. I was like, I want this saltwater fish. It looks so cool because it's so colorful. It was just different. So I'd always wanted that. Got an aquarium. My dad and my grandma teamed up to get me a saltwater aquarium, I think when I was like 11. And that was when the internet was just coming about. And I would go on the internet and I go to saltwaterfish.com and I'd be on the forums and like reefcentral.com and just like chatting away about aquariums online. I learned so much.
Wait, that's amazing. Do
Yeah.
you remember what your aquarium forum username was?
A Pineapple House.
Oh, SpongeBob.
Yeah,
the
my
man of
first
culture.
was Mr. Bubble.
It's pretty good as well.
But I got banned.
What
Yeah.
sort of degenerate content were you posting on that?
It was the people hated me because I was like 11 years old on a forum of adults.
Oh my God.
And my thing was I would do all my titles and like it's very much looking back like the same as like YouTube.
So clickbait.
But like I noticed the bulletin boards back then. If you got a certain amount of responses in a certain amount of hours, like in the first 24 hours, if you got more than like 30 replies to your post, it would have a flame next to it. And so like I got so hyped when it would have the flame. So what I would do is I just like post all the time, like nonsense. Like I wouldn't take people's advice so they get upset at me. But I would be like, what are the best lights if I want to keep SPS corals? And people would like, metal halides and this and that. I'd be like, but can I have power compact lights instead? And people like, no. It was like, but I have power just
classic 11-year-old.
I would just, but the issue is that I'd post like so much nonsense and they'd all be flames that people got very upset.
I love the image of these 45-year-old expert aquarium culturists, fishermen, what have you, and they're just raging at 12-year-old Graham.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was also bad. Because all these things are coming to memory now, but I had a separate account. I forget what the username on that was, but I had a separate account that I would talk to myself on. So I'd log in a separate account just to get more responses.
So you were sock puppeting. You were sock puppeting yourself on the aquarium forums.
Yeah, but the reason I got banned was I posted a title that was like something like, what do I do? The sponge is too big for my tank. And keep in mind, I was like 11 or 12. I bought a 2-foot long sea sponge, like a little skinny one. And my tank was like 22 inches tall. So the sponge was too big for the tank. But I didn't want to say, for some reason I was embarrassed. I was like, I didn't want to say that I bought a sponge that was too tall for the tank. So I said it just grew. And it grew out of the water. And so I was like, is it safe to cut the sponge? And everyone was calling me out saying, like, there's no way a sponge could grow that fast. Because I was like, when did you buy this sponge? It was like a few months ago. And people were like, it's impossible for the sponge to grow that fast. I'm like, I don't know. So in my tank, it was growing really fast. And people were like, the sponge would never even expose itself to air. It's like impossible. I'm like, it happened. And people wanted pictures of like the sponge. But I didn't have a digital camera at the time. And so like the only way to do a picture was like take it on a camera, develop it, scan it, upload. Like it was a big issue online. But the page got hundreds of responses of people making like jokes about the sponge. They were calling me a liar. Some people were backing me up, being like, "Hey, we don't like know the facts.
This could be a new sponge. Like we just discovered it."
Yeah, and I remember someone nearby offered to come and see the sponge in person and verify. She was a moderator on the forum, and she's like, "I live close by. I'll stop by after work to see the sponge. If it is true, I will, publicly say that it's true and like back you up on this." And I remember like talking to my dad and be like, someone wants to come and see the sponge. He's like, no.
It's like this woman wants to check out my 24-inch sponge, Dad.
Anyway, I got banned shortly after that. But I made another account.
You were unstoppable.
Yeah.
I love how you weren't even banned for like, oh, you offended someone's political or religious beliefs or your posting. You sparked an entire controversy over did your sponge grow 2 inches in the time that you bought it.
Yeah, but I also lied on that. Like I said, instead of I was 12, I think I said I was like 16 or something like that. But I'd spell things wrong. Like,
oh my gosh.
I'd spell college wrong. I think I spelled it collage.
Collage, of course. 16-year-old going to collage soon.
Like looking back, it was so bad. But I was 11 years old. Like this. Wow. And I'm sure if you search Mr. Bubble saltwaterfish.com and the Wayback Machine or something like that, you'd be able to find it.
Oh, we have to find this.
Yeah.
I'm more just like, so you were an internet kid early.
Yeah. But like not knowing that like those were titles and like how to get attention online. I liked, oh, and then also your post count would be displayed online. So like usually the more posts you had, the more experienced you were to be, like the more weight your post would have.
Would they give you like extra fishbowl avatar icons, like the number of fishbowls
correct.
you
so
have?
It would, like from a beginner to like an expert, but it was based on post count, not quality. So I would just like post. I got like hundreds of posts in the first like few months. So like new people on the forum would see that I had like hundreds of posts. I'm like this expert level, but I'm like this kid.
Like, this guy is knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. And then go see your post on the 22-inch sponge that grew to 24 inches in a couple of months.
Yeah, but I was so nervous. I didn't want to tell anyone I was 11. So I was 16 years old.
I kind of love that. I feel like our generation, the millennial generation, we're the first ones that actually got used to the internet.
Yeah.
And so, like, the same way all the Gen Z Zoomers are now going on ChatGPT being like, how do I cook eggs? Like, what is the meaning of life? Like, you and I were just throwing little questions into the ether.
It was so much easier back then too.
I know, anonymized.
Like, whatever website you want to go to, just type in that, like saltwater fish reefaquarium.com, and like you know what you're getting when you go to that website.
I recently went back to my old Reddit account.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I looked at the posts. They were really sad.
Oh yeah.
One of them was like, hey, I didn't clean my room and I found a spot of mold. Is this black mold? Am I going to die? Another one was like, hey, I have a friend who's a girl and I want to buy her a necklace. How big should the necklace be?
Huge.
Yeah. And they're just like, well, how tall is she? And I'm like, I don't know. And so it's just like this sort of questions that, like, I don't know. Ideally, I would just ask my parents. But for whatever reason, I was like, my parents can only help me with school and getting into college. Yeah. Anything life-related, straight to the internet.
How old are you? It'd be funny if you're like, it was 24.
Yeah. Last year. No. See, no, Graham, now I ask this question to ChatGPT. It stays private between us.
Right,
I was like 12.
All right.
But that's what I kind of love.
You had 12 in Reddit?
Yeah, like Reddit. I still use Reddit today.
I mean, I still use Reddit.
Ooh, which subreddits?
The boring ones: financial independence, personal finance, investing, fat fire, Gosh, news I'll go on every now and then. Gosh, and some random aquarium
Wait,
ones.
these are like, and I like
Yeah.
we like just mentioned them, like
Yeah.
et cetera, the aquarium ones.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's actually a pretty very reasonable set. I'm all on like today I f***ed up. Like, am I that?
No. I only stick to things that like news-based information.
Yeah.
I do not like the time wasters. Like today I learned. I only go for like what's really practical for what I'm doing throughout the day.
Do you read outside? Like, do you read books?
No.
So it's all internet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the first time you went on the internet, like getting a computer?
Yeah, it was look up Pokemon. So it was probably like 1998, something like that. My dad had it wasn't a Mac, some old Microsoft computer, something like that. And I'd go online, I'd print out Pokemon, like the list of like 100 to 151.
Adorable.
There's like a website like that. I wish I could like remember what that looked like. I'm sure I could maybe find it somewhere on the Wayback Machine, but yeah, it was Pokemon.
That is so impressed.
Yeah.
So many internet subcultures.
Yeah.
What was the moment where you went from spending a lot of time reading things on the internet to starting posting things yourself? Well, I guess you already were with aquariums.
Yeah, it started with aquariums,
Yeah.
and then it developed to real estate, and that's when I was posting 2008 on Craigslist.
Yeah.
So I took that very seriously too. It's very almost identical to like making the posts on those forums to posting on Craigslist. It was all like title, what's going to be the thumbnail of the house that you post, like what's going to attract the biggest demographic. So this is when Craigslist allowed HTML, because I'd put HTML trackers in the bottom of every post, and I paid for this service that would show you anytime someone would click on your post, like it would do a counter on there. And so I'd be able to see after the end of every day, like which posts got the most clicks. And I test different titles, like gorgeous, brand new construction, Mediterranean and Beverly Hills, 5 bedrooms with a pool. Like I test long titles, short titles. And I basically identified it to like, you put these brackets on either end that are this big black text, like blocks on either end, and make the title really short. So a really short title, big block text. And when you're scrolling, it just stands out immediately. And then I realized like, okay, that works, but I get the most phone calls between $7,000 to $15,000 a month in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, West Hollywood, Beverlywood. Like those are the areas that did the best. And so I was like, I just got to focus on getting those listings. As long as I could get those, then I'm going to get phone calls on them.
So you've been playing the content game and optimizing for reach engagement for a long time.
Yeah, without
now.
knowing it too. I mean, it was just like, I want phone calls, but you take a very analytical approach to how I'm going to do that.
Because to me, I imagine that was probably different than what most real estate agents were doing at the time.
Yeah, no one was doing leases. So I was the
Yeah.
only, because I knew couldn't really compete with the people who were doing sales. And not a lot of people were buying at the time, but everyone was renting.
When was this?
2008 and 9.
So around the recession.
Yeah, but it worked out for me because I didn't like, I was an 18, 19-year-old kid. And so for me, like, some of these commissions were anywhere between like a few $100s to maybe $1,000. And there's a lot of work that went into doing that. Like it could be months,
Wow.
weeks to make a $500 commission. So, and you're not making anything in the meantime. Like you're spending money doing gas and like, car insurance and wear and tear in your vehicle to go and show places. Maybe you might make $500 if you lease it. So agents wouldn't do this. Like you have a family and a mortgage, not wasting your
not
time
worth
doing
it.
leases. For me, $500, that was everything. So I would just hustle leases. But I got a lot of those leases from Craigslist. And because I had a photography background doing the aquarium stuff with a digital camera, I would offer free photography services to agents in exchange for having them allow me to post their listings on Craigslist. And I say, you keep the photos, you put it on the MLS, you could use them in your advertising. I don't care. It's free, but just let me post it on Craigslist. And if I bring a tenant to you, I'll get the tenant side of the commission. But that's how it would work anyway. Like if it's on the MLS, another agent brings them a listing, they're, keep the same amount of money. But for me, it's like, hey, I could help you, and you're helping me by just giving me more exposure.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, and over time, I started getting listings from Craigslist because I would just inundate Craigslist with all of my listings, and I'd repost them every 48 hours. And so Craigslist has an option too, where you could used to repost a listing, and it's in the actual listing itself. So you just click repost, and it just takes the same listing and bumps it to the top. But what I would do instead is just post a brand new listing. So now I have a listing at the top and a listing 48 hours down. And you do that and you stagger them so that like always there's one of my listings at the top throughout most of the day, every single day for years. And then I started getting listings from that because sellers would go on there or you know, landlords, and they would see all my listings and say, hey, I know you got all of your listings on Craigslist. Like I can't go on Craigslist and search anywhere. And I'd put tags of every location. So like they would come up everywhere. If you're looking at Santa Monica, you're getting my West Hollywood listing. Because at the top, I would say, wow, if this is not what you're looking for, email me or call me and I will find you something that fits what you want. Amazing. I have other listings. And so I get a lot of phone calls like, hey, I saw your listing. It's not what I wanted. Here's what I'm looking for. Just go send them an email, send them, put them on an auto notify on the MLS. So they're always going to get emails anytime something comes up. And then I just follow up with them every week.
This is amazing. You find platforms.
Yeah.
aquariumreefs.com,
Yeah.
Mr. Bubble, Mr. Pineapple, Craigslist,
Mr. Pineapple, Pineapple House.
Pineapple
Yeah,
House.
Pineapple
All right.
House,
Excuse my mistake, my blunder. Pineapple House, Mr. Bubble, Craigslist. You remember what your handle was there? Was it like,
Oh, no, it wasn't a handle. It was
just anonymous?
It's just, yeah, they're all anonymous, but you
Okay.
can put your email and
all right,
cell
that
phone
makes
number
sense.
in there.
And then YouTube.
Yeah.
So there's just really strong pattern. It doesn't matter what it is. You go there, you figure it out. At the top of the listings, you win.
Yeah, there's a way to like, I don't want to say hack anything, but like if you figure out what the algorithm is and what that platform promotes, you could work to their advantage. I mean, because every platform wants more content on there. And so you just gotta feel, what do they want? What is going to benefit them? And if it benefits them, then it works in your favor and it helps them out. Like they want to encourage that and foster that.
And you mentioned starting real estate around age 18. So many people when they're around that age, they start thinking about college.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I hated school. Couldn't stand school. It's just not, I just wanted to work. I just wanted to work and make money. I didn't get the point of it. I think I was very logical and practical about like, it didn't make sense to me at all. Like, why am I going to sit in a class on a subject I do not care about that is never going to help me? I know what I want to do. I want to get in business and I want to make money. Like that was it. That's all I wanted to do. And so when I had a part-time job, I tuned out of school. Like it just, it didn't make sense. Cause if it's like, I could go and work and make like 15, 20 bucks an hour. Why am I going to be in class? It's just rather make the money than be in a class I did not like, did not get the point of homework. I thought it was stupid. Just wasn't for me. And couldn't stand it.
Growing up, did you have siblings?
I had a half sister. She's 16 years older than me. So I really grew up. Yeah. And she moved out of the house when she was 18. So I really grew up only child.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your drive toward, hey, let me just go get a job. Let me make money. Is that something that your parents encouraged? They understood? Or were they more like, hey, what's going on? I don't really get it, but that's fine.
They were always really encouraging of what I wanted to. They weren't pushing me. I think they just encouraged me to do what I wanted, which, you know, there were a few things that they would push me to do, like piano lessons were one of them. They put me in karate for a bit. I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand either one of them.
Because they're not making money either.
Well, I was really young then. I was maybe like 6, 7, 8 years old. So like not old enough to really understand like working and this and that. I just knew I didn't want to do that. You know?
I really love how your childhood in many ways is one of obsessive focus. Starting with aquariums. I mean, you literally became one of the top aquarium postings. Like you literally got banned and canceled off the platform. Then to Craigslist, then to what you do now. And I really like that because I think I talk to a lot of parents whose kids are YouTubers. And so many times, I talked to one recently. She's a creator with over 400,000 followers and she's 16 years old. And I spoke with her mother and her mother is really concerned about being well-balanced and getting into college. And that's one of maybe over a dozen I've spoken with where I keep hearing the same things over and over. And I sometimes want to grab the parent and shake them and be like, the important thing isn't trying to be well-balanced for the sake of being well-balanced. Like if they have an obsessive interest, like support them and just let them go do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of people realize too, or parents do, that social media is so fleeting. Yeah. So I've always approached it like, hey, I know this is not going to last forever. The best careers usually last about 5 to 7 years. And that's like if you're at the top of your game. So I think a lot of parents would worry, is my child peaking out early? Do they have a child audience that's going to grow up and then stop caring about them? Are they going to be 18 and then they're irrelevant in the space? Yeah. I think there's a lot of risk in that is at that young of an age, unless they're making bank to do whatever. But I think it's a lot for a 14-year-old to comprehend.
I get that. But what you've described is in some ways that obsessiveness, even if the platform changes, you're able to take that and move on from one platform to the next.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, for me, it was Super Smash Bros. Melee. I don't know if you've played that little video game on the GameCube. And ironically enough, it actually helped in business years later because part of the reason why I was able to meet Ludwig and bring him on as a client is Ludwig also comes from Super Smash Bros. Melee. And I just remember thinking to my mom, like, God, I wish I'd played more of this. Like, this would have helped me do better than like going to school and studying.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone has a talent or some sort of interest that they're really, really, really good at, that they're better at other people at. And I think it's important to follow that. Everyone's good at something.
For you right now, what do you think as your talent, your unique advantage over everybody else, over the other thousands, millions of YouTubers and creators out there?
It seems like everyone's is shocked at like, how do you find the time to do everything? But to me, it just seems like, well, you just do it. I think it's just like when it comes to like business related stuff and time stuff, it's just like you just have to. Like I don't know. For me, it's always just been like you just do it. I don't get excuses. I don't get like, feeling bad for yourself or not wanting to. It's just you do it. If you don't want to do it, you just got to do it. How badly do you want it? Like I would rather, it's just got to be your focus. I feel like, and it's also got to be your priority. You can't dabble. It's just got to be. You got to go all in.
The classic question: say you received $1 billion, right? Enough money, then you know what to do within this world. Would you keep doing what you're doing today, or would it change?
Podcast, I would. Main channel probably go down. So sometimes I like having a schedule. So like I like knowing like I got certain things to do every day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Podcast 1,000% I would. Maybe I'd scale back a lot on the main channel, but yeah.
To your point on schedule, yeah, I think with more freedom actually just comes the ability to choose the problems you want to have. It's not about having no problems because I think with no problems, with no schedule, I'd probably go insane because I wouldn't know what to do with myself. No. But choosing, hey, podcast is a lot of work. I've seen the work you put into thinking through guests and scheduling and how to do a good job. That's pretty cool. Even with $1 billion, you're like, yeah, I want to keep doing this.
Podcast, yeah. If money were truly like no object, I'd love to do like a coral farm. I think it would be kind of cool.
That'd be really neat.
Yeah. But like that's got to be like a $750,000 build out. And then I also don't know if like when you turn a hobby into a business,
right? Does
that ruin it for you? I don't know. Or is that there's like more stress? Because you get one coral with a parasite. Like I have, I feel like it's called Montipora eating nudibranchs. And I get stressed over that. I get so stressed out when I walk by and I see they laid eggs. And they're bad. They're a pest. And I think, oh, man, it's like now I got to take that thing out, scrub off the eggs, and they're going to come back. And I battled them and I won, and then they came back. And so I'm like, do I really want the stress?
That becomes your sole focus?
What do you mean?
If that could become your sole focus, if you're just doing a coral farm at that point.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I get that. Yeah. I think studies have shown when you do something that came from a place of intrinsic motivation and something comes in that's external, hey, you're suddenly getting paid for things to do for fun and love, it permanently reduces that intrinsic motivation.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe just I'd do a huge coral grow out, though.
I like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a game.
Okay.
Graham, have you ever done 36 questions to fall in love?
No. I know what it is. I've read through the questions before.
So for those of you who don't know, the New York Times wrote a study about this. They took these randomly selected pairs of people. They went through questions all about vulnerability. I'm going to share something about myself. Reciprocity. Please don't on it and share something back. And at the end of it, many of these pairs of people became good friends. One pair did, in fact, end up getting married. So stakes are high.
Cool.
So we're going to go through these questions. There's 3 different levels: level 1, level 2, level 3.
Okay. We answer all of them, or how does it work?
Oh, no. We'll just pick a couple from each level.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, and really they're meant as framing devices for us to talk about what we want. So the way it starts, I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1. After that, we're going to make eye contact.
Okay.
And whoever blinks or looks away first, they're going to draw the first card.
Oh, I'm bad at that. All right.
3,
okay.
2, 1,
okay.
Go.
My eyes are hurting. There we go.
All right. Oh, you got me. You got me. Level 1.
All right, good.
You're very good at eye contact.
Oh, man. They were burning. It's like I didn't get enough. I was about to say I didn't get enough saliva in my eye. My eye was not like moist enough.
Here's a good one. What do you think is the hardest part that I do for a living?
Am I answering for you or I'm answering?
So first I asked a question. So what do you think is the hardest part of what I do for a living?
Oh,
And then we can flip it around.
oh gosh. What do I think it is? Probably managing people. I'd say that's because that's the one thing you can't really have direct control over what someone else does.
Oh, that's exactly right. That is literally
Cool.
100% precisely right.
Yes.
And
Cool.
I'm curious, well, for you, is that also hard?
Managing people?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Aren't you supposed to guess what mine is? Or did we just talk about it?
We can just talk about it.
Oh, no. No. Managing people. No, because I only got really like Jack and Alex. Jack, I don't really need to manage. Alex, I don't really need to manage. It's more about like just getting on deadlines. No, that's for me. It's more idea creation and getting in the zone. Like I have to be in the zone to plan out a video, and like the stars have to align. Like it's got to be in a quiet room. I have to be in a good mood. I can't be distracted. Got to be in the right headspace. I got to be creative. Like so many things have to come together for me to plan a video and do it well. That's the hardest part for me.
I'm the exact same way. I can't, when it comes to doing strategic work, like thinking through what's the vision of the company or putting together a deck, nobody can talk to me.
Yeah.
Everyone leave me alone and don't pressure me.
Yeah.
I remember when I put together the deck for a Series A fundraise, I ended up putting together 3 a.m. the morning of our final meeting. And my co-founder, Will, was like sitting there silently being like, Eric, you need to do this. But I just need to be in the right headspace. And that happened to happen at 3 a.m. I took a really long shower. I came out and I just knew what to do. I just pumped out 20 slides and it was great. But up until that exact set of permutation of conditions, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I also think the dynamic you have with Jack as well, it's really unique and special. Someone who spends a lot of time with my business partner, Will, what you have with Jack, you often disagree with each other openly, but in a way where you still are aligned on the partnership. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Few people we could, have that relationship with, but yeah, with Jack, I'm not worried about Jack.
Like, how did you two meet?
He sent me emails a long time ago, almost 4 years ago, actually. He sent me multiple emails just wanting to work with me. And one of those times I was overwhelmed with a Facebook group. And so his email was bumped to the top because he kept emailing me, and there it was. And I thought, I'm going to give this guy a chance. And so I called him up. He was super eager to work on the phone, got all those Facebook group emails. Basically, it was just he was just copying pasting Facebook emails into a spreadsheet. Did all of it in one night, and it was like 5 hours, 6 hours worth of work, and he finished it like immediately. He's like, "What else can I do?" And so I met him I took him to dinner like a few days later just to thank him on that and like meet him in person. It was really cool. And so I told him like, hey, I have this idea for a second channel where I want to take phone calls. Do you want to like screen those people for me? Let me know who's going to be good to schedule them. He did it. And then it just evolved. Then when the pandemic hit, he was taking a break from college, and we said, well, why don't we just try working together full time for like 2 months? Because everything was shut down. Let's give it a shot. Those 2 months went so well. And he was like, Graham, I think he did like one class. He was juggling class and working full time. He's like, I can't do the two at the same time. But if I'm going to drop out of college, I just need to know I got like that we're in this, that you're not just, going to be working together and then just not after. Like I need to be locked in at least for a year. Yeah. And so we worked something out. We worked out an agreement, and became very clear immediately that it was the right choice. And that was around the same time too, he brought up the idea of the podcast. And so in 2020, he was like, I think we should do a podcast. And initially it was just him and I talking. And then we were like, we should get a guest on. We started getting guests. And in the beginning, it wasn't making any money. And I was just like kind of over it in the beginning, because I was spending this 1 hour once a week, usually actually 2 hours a week doing this, but it was like inconvenient times. And I was like, oh, man, we're not making any money off this. And I want to be working, or like I was spread so thin, but I think he kind of kept me on pace, and I'm so glad he did.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you ever disagreed about something with Jack?
It happens all the time. I don't know the first time. Gosh, I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, to your point, it happens all the time. That's what I think is unique because you guys still disagree, but you're still ultimately on the same team.
Yeah, and I've warmed up to some of his ideas. Like he really wanted me to push shorts for a while, and I did not want to push shorts. I thought that was stupid. I was so wrong on that.
Yeah, they're doing
He wanted
really
to do chapters on the videos. Like every time I do chapters, I just skim the whole video and I don't watch it. We do chapters now, so there's a lot of suggestions he makes that are, that I should have listened earlier.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, here you go. Level
Pick
1.
anyone from level 1?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll pick this one.
And if you don't like the question, feel free to pull another.
Oh, gosh. This is a good one. We're going to like this. Rate your dancing skills on a scale of 1 to 10. On the count of 3, say your answers out loud, both players.
1, 2, 3.
1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be lower.
No.
Why 1?
I hate dancing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it seems like such a weird, like, I can't help but get it out of my mind. It feels like Animal Planet, where you're like,
It's like they now commence the mating ritual.
Yeah, exactly. Like you see, like the octa. It was like there's a cuttlefish.
Yeah.
That does this mating ritual where it like goes and its tentacles are up like this and it flashes colors. And I can't help but think like, if you put us in that same context,
That's what we're doing.
it seems so weird. I can't, like, there's a beat and we move our bodies at the same tempo as each other. It's like something about it I can't get, and I don't like dancing.
It's a very anthropological POV.
Yeah.
Jane Goodall observing the chimpanzees.
Yeah.
I actually feel similarly, not quite from that perspective, but just from I just feel so self-conscious. I just feel really embarrassed. And that's what blocks me. So I would have said I was a 1 a few years ago, but I've worked on the self-consciousness, trying to remember not everyone's paying attention to you the way that you think everyone is. And that's helped me a little bit.
Yeah, to me they are.
You're like, well, it's a mating dance. They're noticing subliminally.
To me they are. Because I've been out places and I know there's like some subscriber who's there who's watching, stares at me, and I'm like, that pressure, even at the grocery store sometimes I know I'm being watched. Very scary, because I know like everything I do, like if I look at something, I know like there's someone watching me look at something. It's weird.
I love how I literally just went, what was supposed to be very calming from a psychological. I'm like, not everyone's actually watching you. And you're like, well, actually people are.
Yeah. If no one knew me, I wouldn't be as worried about it. But there's always somebody.
Can you like sense in the periphery of your eye when someone's just like looking at you?
Oh yeah, always the same thing. It's always like, and I take out their phone. With some buddies like this. Like that. They always do that every single time.
Wow. So the first few times it happened, did you like it?
It was cool because it was like, whoa, that's so neat. Like there's someone who like watches the channel. Like I had somebody come by the office one time when I was working in West Hollywood and came in and was like, hey Graham, I know, sorry to bug you, but like I watch your channel. I saw like I live up the street, blah, 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 at the Oppenheim group, and just wanted to come and say what's up. And I was like so happy for that.
Oh.
Yeah.
But of course the 50 gazillionth time it happens probably.
Oh no, it's fine. No, I enjoy it. It's just when people stare. That's the only thing.
I get that.
Yeah.
All right, level 1.
Okay.
Oh, this is a wild card. I usually don't do wild cards. Another wild card. How likely am I to go camping? How high maintenance is my setup?
You?
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be likely to go camping, but I think you would. If it's like a entrepreneur retreat, you would do it.
Graham, how do you know me so well? Better than people who've known me for literally years.
I have no idea.
That's exactly right. I probably wouldn't, but if there were business value,
of course.
I would go anywhere.
All right, yeah. I would, I'm not a huge fan unless it's like glamping. Like one of those, like, there's like an Airstream or something like that. I do that, but I'm just not a huge fan. I like to be really comfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember that the very first time I met you, I think it was during 2020, it was the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I flew out to Los Angeles and I met you. Do you remember? It was like near midnight and you're like walking a dog or a cat outside.
It definitely wasn't a cat.
So it was a dog. So you were like walking a dog. And this is right before you moved over to Vegas. So you brought me into your home, which first of all, I just like, my first impression was like, damn, what a nice guy.
Oh, cool.
It's like the same thing you shared when you said when Jack helped you with Facebook, you decided to take him out to dinner, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. I remember I just like met you. I'm like, oh, here's the Karat card. And you're like, oh, like, come on in.
Yeah.
And I remember the first thing I felt, I think Macy was there as well.
Yeah, she would have.
Yeah, it was just a really nice, comfortable place.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, even though you were in the process of moving, the air and the atmosphere, it just felt nice.
Yeah, that's the interior designer for you.
I like it.
Macy always lights candles too, so it smells nice.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
it. It's just like such a lovely. And I remember walking away and be like, that was so nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I remember we had a long conversation too on the phone. I was very skeptical on the business idea. I'm like, how are you going to make money though?
Everyone always is like, yeah, how do you make money? Like, what if this fails? And I'm always like, yeah, I'm not sure and it might fail. But here's the logic of how it would work.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's do level 2.
All right, my turn.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to pick this one. Level 2, connection. What would your younger self not believe about your life today?
When I was young, I had a lot of passions.
Yeah.
Right? Not so much in fish and aquariums, but like Pokemon, video games, reading books. And, well, you know, my parents always told me the secret of life is to go and get a stable job. Go into college, study really hard, and then go be a banker, a lawyer, a doctor. And I truly believed that was my destiny. So I think I'd been very surprised to be like, wow, Eric's not doing any of those. He's kind of just doing his own thing. Mm-hmm. But I think he'd be happy. I think he'd think it's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I think for me, probably it's that I'm not like a professional drummer. I think that's what I really wanted to be when I was
Graham,
younger.
what are all these like secret skills coming from?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I was going to be a drummer. So it's probably that.
Wait, why? Were you good at drumming?
I was good at drums, yeah. I'm not like a Neil Peart or like, you know.
How did you get it? This brings up so many questions. Yeah. How did you get into drums?
6th grade band. I was in a music class and I had a jazz band that went after school and they had this kit there and I would just play the kit. Wow. Like sometimes I'd go in during the lunch, play the drums and just learn on the kit and just kind of teach myself how to play. But I really, 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 really liked it. And so I just kind of self-taught on the...
Were you also avid poster on
drums.com? No, I wasn't.
So I played piano growing up because I'm Asian American, so of course I did. But my brother got to play the drums. They were far less strict on he was than they were on me.
Yeah. Well, drums are good. I like the drums.
I feel like if the apocalypse ever happened, I would want you on my team because just like completely random repertoire of skills that I'm learning right now. It's like you can be a drummer, like you understand fish.
With my snare drum. Yeah.
100%. You know, I was playing around with ChatGPT and I was trying this prompt. I was putting in a lot of friends that I know. I said like, how would so-and-so do in the apocalypse? And I actually put your name in. Mm-hmm. And according to ChatGPT, you'd be excellent because using your real estate skills, you would know the best defense fortifications, cities, and structures to put ourselves in as headquarters and barricades.
Yes, that's, ChatGPT's BS. I have no idea.
I was just impressed. Like, they knew who you were, and they knew how to make a point that was, like, relevant to what they knew about you.
Yeah, but that's not true.
You're just like, no.
No, I wouldn't.
No good at scouting defense fortifications.
No.
Safe buildings.
Nothing.
Okay, but you could do the snare drum.
I could do snare drum at the front of the line, or like
exactly,
preferably back of the line,
right?
Doing the snares, kind of leading the troops.
From the back, from the
far back,
the extreme far back.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right,
pick one.
2. Okay, I pulled another wild card. Oh, here we go. What's been your happiest memory this past year?
Oh, this past year. I'd say the proposal to Macy was like, how could that not be in the past year? Oh yeah, that was a cool day. It was the top of the Ferris wheel, and I was really nervous beforehand. And we went to a sushi place, and there was like 3 menu options there, and without knowing, I picked the most expensive one because I wasn't thinking. I was just like, oh yeah, that one. But I was just nervous. I was nervous that something was going to go wrong.
Normally, would you pick the not most expensive one?
Exactly. Not most expensive. But yeah, I was just nervous that something was going to go wrong because I was coordinating for her family to like meet us right afterwards. And I was like, what if she sees her family or she sees their car like around? And then Jack and Alex are supposed to take pictures or like, get us right afterwards. I'm like, what if she sees them? And what if like this? I was very nervous throughout the whole day. But it was fine. Everything went fine.
What was the moment you knew that you wanted to propose and marry her?
Probably our first date. I knew immediately afterwards, after the first date. I'm like, oh, this is it. It's just something was different. I just had a good feeling about it. But I think I just wanted to like. For me, it's very much about like taking the time and really doing it. at a moment where I felt like, everything was aligned. So, but I knew immediately.
What was that first day? Was it just coffee? What did you two do?
No, we got sushi. We walked around for a while, went on the Ferris wheel, and then it was like we met up at probably 4 p.m., 5 p.m., something like that. I think we entered our date at midnight, or like 12:30.
Wow.
Yeah, just everything went so well. Just really went well.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you've most come to appreciate about her?
She's very kind, very loyal, selfless, caring. And she always puts other people first. I respect that.
I remember when we were at Creator Clash last year and you were boxing.
Yeah.
She was so beside herself.
Oh, yeah.
Worried about your physical health.
I'd be the same way. Yeah.
I was like, wow, she really cares.
I'd be the same way. Yeah.
That's so wholesome. All right,
Yeah.
level 2.
Cool. Didn't I just pick this one?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, then I guess I pulled.
Right? Did I?
I think I pulled this one, yeah. The happiest memory from your past year.
And what's yours?
Oh, I have my happiest memory from my past
Yeah.
year. Gosh. I had a really good time. Actually, just a couple of days ago, I went and played pickleball with 2 friends of mine. One is Jasmine Rice Girl, who is a good friend of mine. She's also a co-founder of Fan House. Another creator named Lonnie IIV. And it was just like a very chill, normal day. It was like 9 p.m. We went to go play pickleball. We just like caught up on life, just talked about life and relationships. And then afterwards, we just like went to the diner. And we were at the diner probably for like 3 hours because at a certain point, we just decided, it's like 11 p.m., midnight. At that point, you're just in it. We decided to like pretend to have our own podcast and like holding water bottles up as microphones and just like talking to nobody at all and just making fun of each other. It was just like a very wholesome and fun time. And I remember precisely because it was so much of my life is structured around work. Hey, I have this, what I need to accomplish. And when I travel, it's usually for an event, right? Or for like a very specific business purpose or meeting. It's only recently I'm like, let's just like go hang out. And so I had a really good time. And I don't know if I've had many instances of that before where you're just like casually hanging out and having a good moment.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Another number 2.
Exactly.
Pick a number 2. Oh, wild card.
Yeah, wild cards are always hard.
No. I don't like that one.
Different
Can I
one.
pick another one?
Different one, of course.
That's just kind of lame. I don't know how many. It's like I don't like that one.
Yeah, go for it. The point is to choose one you like.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. See, I don't know how I'd answer that one.
Yeah,
It's
just
like it's on like stranger
here.
compliments. No, but I want it to be a random one.
it can still be random.
Has a like I don't know how to answer it. Has a stranger ever changed your life?
Well,
I guess so, right?
yeah?
Yeah, like if we count people now, everyone is a stranger at some point, right? Right? Isn't that how you like?
Fine, let me reframe it. Have you ever met somebody in your life who did change the way you thought or felt about things that you then did not get to know better and did not become a friend? It's pretty funny question, actually. It's like, thank you so much for helping me. I will never see you again.
Well, then it's like a random act of kindness.
Yeah,
I mean,
kind
some of them I remember. There was one time at a checkout line where my mom or my dad didn't want to get me a ball, or it was like a stuffed animal or something. It must have been like 4 or 5. And the guy in front heard me and my mom. I think my mom was, I don't know the context. Anyway, the guy in front of the line grabbed it and put it on the thing, checked it out, and then gave it to me.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I
Like imagine I was being a brat though, and my mom was like, "No, you're not getting that." And the guy's like, "No." I think it was like, "Oh, sorry, honey. We don't need another one or something." Like I forget what it was, but anyway, the guy bought it.
But you
I
remember him
that.
literally getting it for you.
I do.
Wow. See, that absolutely was a random stranger that you never again will ever know.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a stranger. It is tricky. I'm like, what if people just helped me with things? Okay, I guess I remember once when I was 10 years old, I got stuck in my seatbelt in my mom's Honda Odyssey. I don't know how I got stuck, but we literally couldn't remove me from the seatbelt. It was really embarrassing. And a random woman in the parking lot of a ShopRite had like a pair of scissors in her bag, and she cut me out of it.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if
That's
this is
good.
the most meaningful moment a stranger
Probably
has
not.
changed my life, but in the context, I think you sort of pre-framed me to think about like,
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking.
like at the supermarket and a stranger comes and helps me. So, well, let me reframe that. Is there a moment where who do you see as a mentor in your life, if any?
Right now, I would say definitely Jason Oppenheim. Jason and Brett Oppenheim have both been like so generous, really just kind, extremely supportive. I could always go to them and know I could get like a good perspective. They're very business minded. So when I ask them a question, I don't get the how do you feel, this and that. I get a well, blah, 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 blah. And they just like go through the motions of like this chart of like, you know, the two things, like, does this apply? No, then go here. Does this apply? No, go here. And then they come out with an outcome.
Do you get solutions from them or structured ways of thinking?
Yes. Yeah, just good ways of thinking. They're not involved in like,
Yeah.
you know, a YouTube channel or anything that might like, they just come at it from a different, fresh perspective with no skin in the game. And I know I get a good, honest answer.
How did you meet and join them in the first place?
2010, Jason Oppenheim joined the 2010, he joined Coldwell Banker, and his office was right beside mine.
Wow.
And so he came in, and he needed help with leases. And he wasn't doing a lot of leases. He was more so focusing on sales.
Yeah.
So when he had a lease question, he knew that I was the leasing guy in the office. So he was like, Graham, help me with the lease. And then pretty quickly, I brought him a tenant for one of his own properties, or he was renting out a property for his family or something like that. And I brought him a tenant. It turned out to be a crappy tenant, unfortunately. But I mean, that's just, the tenant paid for a while. I think it just became difficult to have, whatever. But, I kept in touch with Jason. Him and I became close as like office colleagues are close. Who, if you see each other, and he's in the office every day, so am I. And we're one of the few people that would be in the office late. Like, I think that was one of the most underrated things is like be in the office at like 8 p.m. when no one else is there. And you're going to see who like works hard. And those are the people, you just get a good connection with them. But he was one of those people. We'd both be in the office really late. Sometimes on weekends we'd be there. And so we'd see each other for years like that. You grow a friendship naturally. And then 2015, I think I brought him a lease. He was representing a property on Hollywood Boulevard. And I brought him the tenant Casper, like the mattress.
Yeah, familiar.
They rented out that house as their showroom because they wanted a house, not an office.
Makes sense. And
they signed like a 2-year lease at a good price. Jason then asked me to stop by his house to pick up the commission check instead of mailing it. And so I stopped by his house. He showed me, and his house was across the street at the time from the office. And he's like, hey, wanted to show you this. So we walked across the street, and he was opening up the Oppenheim Group. And it was incredible. Like, it looked so good, and he was just getting it ready. And he said, we're looking to build out a small team here if you want to join. I'd love to have you on. And he explained that he really didn't want to just bring on like random agents. He wanted to bring on people that he knows and trusts on a team. So that way it's just like a few people. It's not like this big Coldwell Banker conglomerate of Keller Williams where it's like all these people, like a small team, and just focus on the boutique aspect of really high-end real estate. And it was a better offer than what I was currently getting at Coldwell Banker. And it was something new. And it was really scary. Like, a part of me didn't want to leave Coldwell Banker because I was really comfortable there. I knew exactly what to expect. I didn't like change. And I was really worried I'd leave Coldwell Banker and then like things wouldn't work out with Jason because it was a different, like the first week I was there, I was shocked like how serious he was when it came to work, like head down work, like throughout the day. And I wasn't used to that. Very hard. But yeah, best decision ever. But going on that, like immediately within the first week, I was like, I love this. It's so much better.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then what was it like regarding your decision to leave?
Easy one. I loved it. Basically, I had kept doing real estate throughout the whole YouTube career. But as YouTube began doing better and better and better, I slowly started to scale back on the real estate. And I just became very selective with the clients that I'd work with. Like, I'd take on listings if they were over like 1.5 to 2 million, but anything under that, I'd refer out to other agents. Stop doing leases, and I'd refer that to other agents and just take a referral fee. But I didn't want to quit real estate entirely because I could still make the same amount of income just focusing on fewer listings, but make sure they're really good. But the YouTube kept increasing. So I just became more selective. And there was one point that I knew I had to make a change. It was 2019, probably the summer of 2019. And there was a client that wanted to buy like this $5 million multifamily property. So obviously that's a client that like I'm going to prioritize and, be there for them. And I remember being on a deadline to post this video I wanted on YouTube. But I'm like, I'm going to go to this property, meet with the client, and I'm going to come back and post this video. Well, I show up to the property and the guy's not there. And I've confirmed the time. It was like a 2 p.m. time. I confirmed it. And I call the guy, got a late start, I'll be there soon. And then he shows up like 45 minutes late. And I'm sitting there thinking, I need to get this video out. Like, I really want to get the video out. Why am I here? I just wasted 45 minutes of my day. And the guy shows up and he's on his phone.
Wow.
And he's on the phone the entire time. He just takes a look around on his phone. He says, yeah, hold on one sec. Yeah, I don't like this place. Blah, 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 blah. Too much money, this and that, this and that. It was a fine place. He's like, all right, maybe just set up some other appointments for me, tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'll email you what I want. But yeah, just make them for tomorrow morning. We'll do it then. And left. But I was there for like an hour, 20 minutes, hour 30 with traffic for him to take 2 minutes around and tell me he didn't like it and leave on the phone. And that was, for me, it was like, can't do that anymore. But I still, would do it. Not every client was that difficult. That was a one-off. Most clients were on time, very respectful, very nice. But then 2020, pandemic happened. Everything shut down. I was not going into the office anymore, whereas I used to go in pretty much every day. And that was then like, you know what? Like, I'm going to go full-time on YouTube to see how it goes. And instantly I was like, yeah, that's the right choice.
Wow. I think two things really strike me that. The first is client services. Sometimes you have good clients, but sometimes you don't. Mm-hmm. And now you run your own channel. You run your business. Obviously, there's a new set of issues and concerns, but you're not in the same situation where this guy just sucks, but you have to be nice to him.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Now, and it's tough, too, because, if you're new in the business and you don't have any other business, you have to do that. You wait. You're respectful, you're kind, you make those appointments. If they are 2 hours late, you do not complain. Mm-hmm. You are there for them. You're providing obviously as you get bigger and you can afford to say no to people, then that's a different thing. But in the beginning, you gotta go through. And I went through so many of those. It's funny. One of them, and I remember this distinctly, it was when I was 19 years old, and this guy calls me at 9 p.m. on a Friday, and I just happened to be in the office late, and says, hey, I want to see this place. I know it's late, but I'm just finishing up dinner. Could you show it to me at 9:40 p.m. on a Friday night? We're talking about a house here. Yep. And so I canceled whatever plan I had, which is probably just meeting up with a friend or something like that. So it wasn't that important, but I canceled the plans. I show up at 9:40. The dude does not show up. And I call, he keeps saying, oh, I'm 10 minutes away, 10 minutes away, 10 minutes away. He shows up at 10:30. And I'm pissed, but I hide it. I am so angry. I almost want to call the guy and just be like, yo, I you can't do this. I'm here on a Friday night. Blah. I didn't do it. I was so kind, respectful. I waited. No mention of the time thing. Also, yeah, I now remember. He took an Uber or was in a black SUV in the back seat, taking a call for 20 minutes. So he's parked out front, but he couldn't come inside. He was finishing a call. He comes in, take a quick look around. He's like, hey, this, again, it wasn't for me. What else could you show me? But I almost wanted to cut it, but I didn't. And it turned out we became really good friends, still to this day. He ended up leasing another place, referring me really good business, and then buying a spot.
Wow.
And we're friends. One of the few clients that I've consistently, kept in touch with and become friends with. And had I let that cloud my judgment of no, you're better, be on time. What would that serve me,
And so you try and Just handle it.
Oh,
The
yeah,
feelings, the annoyance.
Yeah, it would have been different had I been at this point now where it's like I can't afford to take those breaks and just not to do anything. But back then, if it's like I don't get to hang out with my friend at 19 years old or meet a potential client, like you got to meet the potential client.
I get that. I'm actually very much still in that phase myself.
Yeah.
Where the number one principle guiding my life is always, is this valuable from a business perspective? And that's why, to my previous point, I haven't had too many chances where I just like hang out with friends casually. Because it's hard to make plans when you're like, well, sorry, something came up, bye. But to your point, it's like it's paid huge dividends for me as well.
Yeah.
Just
I feel
being
like
able
you
to be
got to
there.
do it. Like in the beginning, it's a necessity. And irks me when people don't want to do that, but like you gotta do it.
You gotta do it. You gotta be there. And guess what? If they're late or they're disrespectful, whatever, you just swallow it.
Oh yeah, exactly. You want to? Should we do level 3?
Let's do level 3.
All right, cool.
We'll do a couple
my
here
level
and
2's back. Who picked the last one?
I think it was me. 'Cause, yeah, it was you. You picked Has a
All right,
Stranger
go
Ever
for
Changed
it.
Your Life?
Yeah.
All right. When in this game did you feel most connected to me?
Probably the eye thing.
Eye contact.
Eye contact.
Yeah, it's this really weird, like physiological thing when you're just like
staring. We're doing it again.
We're doing it again. Feel connected, Graham.
You just blinked. All right, I'll grab another one.
Let's do it.
I'll grab this one.
Oh, that's a wild card.
Oh.
Pull a different one.
Oh. I don't know about this one. Try it. Based on what you learned about me, what book would you recommend I read?
Well, I know for you it needs to be productive and teach you something. And I'm trying to think through books I really appreciate. There's one book. I'll confess. Okay, 2 books. The first book, I haven't actually read all of it. I know, I'm recommending a book I haven't properly read, but I've read some of it. And it's quite good. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman is a behavioral psychologist, behavioral economist. And the book talks about there's 2 systems we have in our mind, System 1 and System 2. And System 1 is the lizard brain. It's fast thinking. Something happens, you react instinctively. The guy who asked you to show you a house on Friday at 9:45 p.m. is really late. Lizard brain, I am so pissed off, and this guy can go screw himself. System 2 is the more thoughtful, cerebral processing brain that we've evolved to actually make better, more optimal decisions, right? Oh, I should wait here because he's probably got his own life going on. This could lead to like a lot of good things. And the book is all about, there are certain heuristics or glitches where your System 1 mind will just like trigger and activate. But the more aware you are of that, the better you can be at calming that down and giving your System 2 the time to catch up. So it's very like bimodal. It's like, you actually have just these 2 separate, somewhat related processes in your mind, and you have to calm down the former so that you can properly use the latter.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I actually found that just even knowing just that concept itself has changed the way that I think about things. Sometimes the key is when I'm emotionally reactive, just sit and wait for it to calm down and then reassess the situation.
Yeah.
The second book I'd recommend is actually a book called Attached. And I don't know if you've heard of attachment theory. So the premise is, when you're a kid, you may receive unconditional love from your parents, but most of us don't. Our parents are trying as hard as they can. And if you don't, you react in one of 2 ways. The first is you become just a little bit anxious. You're always the one in a relationship asking, hey, like, where are you? Hey, don't talk to other people. Do you still like me? And the second way is you become a little bit avoidant.
Yeah.
We're moving too fast. Like, I don't even care. Like, I need a little bit more space to breathe, right? Because you compensate for not receiving that love and support by being like, well, I don't even need this in the first place.
Yeah, sure.
And so to a certain degree, you can actually characterize everybody, to their partner, to their friends, to their family, across those different dimensions, whether it's more anxious or whether it's more avoidant, or maybe perfectly secure in some cases. And for me, it's just a helpful proxy sometimes when I'm in a relationship with someone to consider, hey, like, if I feel I need a lot of space and feeling a little bit avoidant, it gives me a little bit of language to like understand that better.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't think there's any book I could suggest to you that you would not have already read. I mean, I'm going to tell you like the Think and Grow Rich or How to Win Friends and Influence People,
Well,
4-Hour Work Week,
I
The
actually
Compound
a
Effect.
lot of those I've just read on Wikipedia. So now maybe this is the kick in the pants to actually go read them.
Okay, then those are my suggestions.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you think from an attachment style perspective for you and your relationships, do you think you tend to err more toward one side or the other, anxious or avoidant?
I would say neither.
So you're secure.
I think so.
Well, that's pretty amazing. That's a rare and precious thing to have.
I think so. I'm generally just pretty focused.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, it's like probably work gets, I don't want to say gets in the way, but I'm definitely like very focused on like these are work hours. I got to get this done.
Yeah.
But like relationship wise, I don't think either.
I like that.
No.
All right, let's do a couple more. Level 3. I think this time I pull one.
Yeah.
I don't like this one. All right. What do you think my weakness is?
Yours?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a good answer, man. There's so much. Okay.
Too many to choose from.
I would say maybe to have a deeper confidence in yourself.
What's that?
I think, like we were talking last night about the dating stuff. I think
Yeah.
just believing that, like, hey, like I'm the shit,
Oh.
I think would go a long way. That's
Thank
what
you,
I think.
Graham.
But,
Oh,
but
wow.
that's the only. But like, I had to think about this stuff for a long time to even come up with something.
That's
so,
very wholesome.
yeah.
I agree, and I think deep down, I just have a desire to be liked a little bit too strong still for my liking.
Okay.
So I think
That's fair.
the two of those combined.
Cool.
I'm trying to think. After this, do one more question. I'm trying to think what I say your weakness is.
Calves.
Did you say calves?
Yeah.
Like working out your calf muscles?
It's my weakness.
That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good. So the reason why I think this question is hard for you is weakness. It's a very subjective concept, right? Because it usually refers to something that the other person doesn't like about themselves. Because who's to really say whether something is good or bad? The same capability in one scenario could be tremendously helpful and another potentially detrimental, but it's not inherently good or bad. And I think for you, my read is you feel good about who you are.
Overall, yeah.
Yeah, overall.
Yeah.
So
I'd say my biggest weakness is
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of options. And because there's so many options, I have difficulty picking the one thing. There's so much out there. There's so many new opportunities everywhere. And it's like, where am I going to dedicate my time?
Is that the fear of missing out on what could be even better than what you chose?
For sure.
Has that do you feel like that's happened before?
Yeah, there's just so many options. I feel like it's like an indefinite amount of things that you could do at any given moment. And it's like, how do you pick different opportunities? And
If you were shifting focus away from YouTube, what do you think that would be on?
part of me feels like it sounds so random, but like music, and it's so weird
I love that.
to say music.
I don't think
But
it's
like,
weird.
but I feel like there's a big throwback towards like 90s.
Yeah.
And I feel like catching that wave, I think would be interesting.
To me, it wasn't surprising or weird because I think of you as obviously very disciplined, very financially savvy, very smart, but also very creative.
Yep.
Right? Like in some ways, what you've described, posting on aquarium forums, like listings on Craigslist, even making content, like you make things, and music is a natural extension of that.
Yeah. But it's hard to turn away other stuff because if anytime I do something, I go like all in.
Yeah.
I get obsessive over it. So
Like you will be 100% into music.
I'd have to, like,
Yeah.
locking myself in a room and getting stuff done.
Well, you could hit up Blau, be like, help me produce my
that'd
next
be cool.
record. All right, last one. Let's do it.
All right.
Your question.
Oh, that's the book question. No, I don't like that one. I want to get a good one. What do you recommend I let go of, if anything?
That's a corollary to the question, what do I think is holding you back?
Sure.
I've seen some previous podcasts where commenters always jump in and they always write the same things over and over.
Yeah.
They're always like, Graham should let go of the editing process more. Graham should work less.
Yeah, sure.
But here's the thing. I actually don't agree with them. I actually agree with you. So, sorry,
That's tough,
commenters.
yeah.
Sorry, viewers. I actually think life is best when you're just focused on doing the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're doing that. The problem you just shared is more just around figuring out what are the right things to do. So I actually don't know. I'm curious, do you feel like there's something you want to let go of?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could do is maybe to be able to turn my mind off. That's the only thing. Like,
To give yourself moments of break.
Yeah, like the only times I could tune out my mind in the shower, getting a massage, watching a movie. Probably the only time, because I'm kind of focusing on something else. It's the only time where I could shut down.
I like that
Yeah.
because the ways to best focus are if you can truly have moments where you're not.
Yeah.
All right, Graham, thanks so much for making time today.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too.